I was trying to tell Amy about it today because I had lunch with her, and I say, well, it's not my place to fix Alex. I know I can't fix him. But today, the new version was, and I know he doesn't need fixing because he's all right. Ooh. So that was a new add-on that I hadn't actually had before.
It's funny you should bring that up, because I think from the time we spent last night, I think I got a really deep sense, like a reminder of things that I thought I've known, but now I can see it much more clearly, that they really don't need fixing. I mean, really don't. And actually what's that then? So the other side of that is, because when you think like that, you don't see the healthy flow that's there. You don't see what's working well. You just can only see the bits that are not right, or you think are not right.
It's insulting and it's damaging, actually, to the person you're doing it about.
Disrespectful.
That's a better word, yeah.
Well, no, it's just, I just think it's another way, all the words, there's loads of words we could apply, but because isn't it funny how, when you reflect on it, ways that we really dislike being treated, and yet we get that sort of blindness to now I'm treating someone else like that. It's very odd, isn't it? But it's as odd to me as now that thing about why have I very, very quietly, no fanfare, no big decision, sort of just kind of think I don't eat meat. And it's not fixed, because I think, well, today. So in the past, it would have been an intention, and then I would have followed it, and I'd have been pleased. But now that it's like, that bit's missing. It's just like, I'm not eating meat today.
You don't want to.
I don't. But before, there would be some, like when people say, oh, I can't resist chocolate. Well, if it's in the house, actually, I would probably eat it too. But I don't go and buy it. So that's the next best step for me. But it's a funny experience when change happens. But it's not.
When you didn't consciously do anything.
Because consciously trying to do something doesn't work.
No.
Otherwise, I'd never have eaten meat. It's
you just growing.
And it's what seems right in the moment, isn't it? It's not an instinct, isn't perhaps the right word, but you suddenly just, as you say, find yourself not doing something that's been a habit, or I was brought up in a meat-eating family, and yes, I still eat meat at the moment, for example. But I've been enjoying smoothies this week. I've been having salads, and yes, had some fish last night, and vegetarian quiches and things. I'm not missing it.
No,
I'm not saying never. It's never going to pass my lips again. But it's an interesting thing to just notice. Oh, actually, well, this last week I haven't actually had any meat.
Yeah,
haven't really wanted any. Haven't been conscious of it. I mean, we do tend to talk in rather fixed terms about a lot of things, because I think just adding at the moment, or this week, or just now to some of these things is sort of better, because once we've said, no, I don't do that, it sort of changes it, makes it more conscious, like a rule you've just invented or something. But actually, we're just becoming more aware, aren't we? Gradually, quietly, independently and individually getting more aware of what actually is best for us, what we like. No, what's best for us, just changing.
And also, a habit is a thought that's held in place time and time and time again. So we call it a habit. It's a repetitive thought we're noticing or taking, or we're not noticing. But so I've been interested in Victoria Groom's thread. You may not have seen it, but she's really, really trying to give up sugar. She's trying to become healthy, and she's admitted that she's been able to do it now and again, but then she feels like she slips back, and she's really, really, and so she's created this group, Watch Your Candy. So it's so people can go into it. It's on Facebook, and talk about their experiences and how shift has happened for them or not happened for them. And they can actually say, well, look, there's lots of us out there who are struggling with this or struggling with that. And then people can swap information. So she asked for something about Annie Rose, about her digestion. And, great people come back because there's people on there who are nutritionists. So I think it'd be really valuable. And it's also support. But I was thinking, because she said, I'm having one of those days where I feel really grumpy and I really want, a couple of days ago. And I have to say that I reflected on what was happening with me and after Christmas and even after Easter. So there was maybe a little bit, because we had chocolate in the house, we ate a lot of it. And I realised just how much I wanted it once I'd started eating. So it was on my mind. So I'd come home and I'd be, is there anything in the house? No, but sometimes you get a lucky thing. I mean, I've been into the cake decorating box before because I nice chocolate, as well as cooking chocolate, nice chocolate, or I might have some, I don't know, Maltesers in there for making little things. But I've noticed that passes. I don't just keep it up and just not bother buying it. And I don't really have a great impulse to buy it. Then it stops. I stop thinking about it. I'm not wishing there was chocolate in the house now.
I do actually have an issue with it. I eat absolutely the most horrific amounts of it. And I'm fully aware how bad it is for me and how bad it makes me feel. So I'm obviously not at whatever stage you have to be at for this thing to kick in.
Well, it's not having it. I felt like then the addiction was broken, just simply because I wasn't feeding the addiction, as it were. So because my body wasn't going through the cycle of, I guess there must be this cycle of my body was used to that and wanted it. So you become aware of it, although it's at a very unconscious level. So I'd go looking for it. And I couldn't resist it if it's in the house. I mean, Peter's the same. We're just like peas in a pod when it comes to things like that. The only time we really have it out of the ordinary, like this is the ordinary now, we don't have it, is if we go to the cinema. We might buy a bag of, I don't know, minstrels or something. And then we just eat them. We don't sort of spread them out during the film. It's like, like something, well, what happened to us there? Who's trying this hand? I mean, I remember in the early days, I'd be thinking, my God, he eats really quickly. And I'd be trying to keep up with him, thinking, I won't get half otherwise. But anyway, that's just me being greedy.
That's the now you see it, now you don't, isn't it?
It is.
That's yeah. Oh, well, I know this isn't good for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I've eaten half a packet. How did that happen?
That's been really interesting me recently, because that's the thing about the meat for years, really. If I've been vegetarian, then I've not been vegetarian. I don't think I've really enjoyed meals with meat, really enjoyed them at times. Ever so often, I've had an uneasy feeling. I've had an uncomfortable feeling about, why did I order this? Why did I do that? Because it wouldn't have been my conscious intention. Well, it must have been for me to order it, but it's almost like, oh, well, just once. It's always something the brain does to just coax you. It just doesn't matter, does it? And that's what, the smoker does, isn't it? Oh, I'll just have one. One won't kill me.
But there is something about all these things that, the really aware, sensitive part of us doesn't want to do it. And yet something overrides it. And certainly Alex has wanted to be vegan for 15 years, and when he gets psychotic he is vegan, and when he's medicated he isn't, but he doesn't he feels really bad when he's eating meat, and I do think it's a level of awareness actually. But also that does fluctuate, doesn't it?
I think so.
And I don't think beating ourselves up about it is worth it.
Oh,
either.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because really, how much does it matter?
Yeah. I mean, that's that game between, well, we make things matter is there anything beyond that that says these things matter? And, it puts me in mind of Paul Morgan Summers.
I know, who I still haven't witnessed. Because that time when he came, I had to leave just as he arrived.
Okay.
That was really a pain. Yeah.
That's somebody else we haven't thought of, Jill. Frocks and Minds.
Yeah, put him on the list.
Yeah. We'll do that now. That's a little bit of...
Try and capture him.
Yeah, well, we can do a day with him. We'll get him over and do a day with him and get a group together and keep it affordable, and that will be that. Because we're trying to... Well, part of this evening would be to ask the hosts, or all these people that have joined, what it is that they like. What would they like? Another Jack Day? So we're going to go ahead anyway. We've had a meeting the best part of today. We went to view another venue, which we're really pleased with the prospects of that. Then we got down to kind of, what are we going to do next? So we're going to talk about that a bit later.
But nobody's come.
Sorry?
Nobody has come to talk about it.
The problem is, I think the problem is, because I had to change it because I'm going off out the door at 7. I probably won't get out till 10 past, but I just think this is a lousy time for people.
It is a bit difficult. It just, yeah. I was just lucky because I told you last night that my commitment was cancelled, but yeah. Yes, it probably is too early, isn't it?
Because it's a bit early to eat before.
Or too late.
And then to start your meal. Well, for me, it isn't. I know for you, that's probably normal.
Yes.
I said to Jan the other day, well, 7 o'clock, I'd be thinking something's gone, we'd be thinking, wow, something's gone wrong. It's really late, isn't it? Whereas I know that Sheila will often eat at 9 and 10 at night.
I don't eat. Yeah, I don't eat till about 7:30 gone. Usually, unless I'm absolutely starving. No.
That's interesting. I want it done and dusted so I can have the rest of the evening.
Yeah. No, I've been really hungry today, and it dawned on me this evening. Why? It's because I never had any supper yesterday. That was your fault.
Yes. A bit of fasting, though. They recommend that.
Oh, I know. I really.
Going back to what you said about, I think it's really profound and important in a way. Just how much time I can see the difference in what I say and what I'm saying I understand. And then, so I think all these things are linked. And then the continuation of behaviours that are showing that hasn't landed fully. I'll get glimpses of it some minute. So we talked a lot last night, Jill, about the way, our relationships with our youngsters, not that youngsters anymore, but they are. And, I could say it's the same thing as the chocolate or the meat or whatever. I never set out to behave the way that I sometimes behave. And then you say, well, okay, so I do a bit of trimming. So imagine it's a bush. I do a bit of trimming over here and I try and improve that. So I try and cuss. But unless I see the root, and the root is that understanding, they don't need fixing. So then there is no tree. Don't need fixing. So I don't have to. How? It wouldn't make any sense. There'd be no logic, and it wouldn't make any sense to act in ways. Now I've seen something new. Just wouldn't. So it kind of takes care of itself.
Yes.
And until you see it, you will continue acting in that old way, I suppose.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the trouble. Until you see it, you don't make any headway.
So that whole thing that we often talk about, all of us about, like just keep pointing, just keep looking in that direction. Just keep looking at your own, what understanding can reveal to us. And going back to the basics. Any feeling of discomfort with another person is not coming from the other person. So any feeling that I'm acting on, I'm forgetting it's not coming from them. So if I think, oh, Heidi's being a little bit kind of one-track minded, it's the feeling I respond to. Because it's not forcing anyone, it's not doing anything in the world. It's just, I don't like it. I've got the feeling. And I think, oh, there could be a better feeling for me if she could behave differently.
So I wrote down something. Garrett put that post up today with the 12 myths, and it was on that subject. He says the intellect then looks outside to decipher the feeling and makes it about something. I really like that. I thought, yeah, it does. It kind of hooks itself up. Well, so what's causing this? And poof, you've lost it.
Well, it must be that.
Yes.
And we're so used to doing it. I mean, if you've lived as I have, and well, we all have.
Well, our whole society does that.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot have a crime without finding a perpetrator. I mean, there would be lynchings. There's always everything's got to be caused by something.
Yeah. And
preferably one clear thing.
Yes, that can be fixed.
No, no ambiguity, please.
No.
But I'm fascinated today by how I wonder if perhaps you really can't see anything properly, until it's been put somehow into context and given some weight in a real example in your life. I'm not sure, but it feels today you've seen things, but how can you know until you suddenly see something, until you've actually got an example?
Well, I suppose, in answer to that, I think it has become a piece of understanding, and then the understanding has an opportunity to emerge in an old situation, so we have a new experience of an old.
And that reinforces it, doesn't it?
So maybe what I said before is less true in terms of, if your understanding shifts, it shifts because you've had an insight about something. But what you're saying is, well, so what, until it shows up in life? Because life is what we do. We live life, and we live in relation to other people, and we're also products of the outside, aren't we?
Yeah. I think maybe the real happening thing sort of solidifies it. Maybe I think some of my insights slip away again, go off into that great pile of stuff that that came past me, but I didn't actually grab onto, and then I'm living as if I haven't heard it. Whereas when it gets put in context, I think that changes me with a jolt, and I stand a better chance of not losing it, because I don't know. I do hear an awful lot of stuff, and am told an awful lot of stuff, and taught an awful lot of stuff that just goes by. And I'm sure I understand things at the time, and then I lose them again.
Or is it just a thought that you lose them?
I don't know.
So we can only consider it if things don't work out the way that we thought they'd work out, given the insight we've had. So we just create a story about that, don't we? So that's no different to any other story we were ever running. So now we have a new story about, wow, I won't be critical. I won't be impatient. I know now. But the point is, we're human, and I think we're learning. It's like a relearning or an unlearning, isn't it?
Yeah, and
learning, I suspect some things drop away in an instant and others don't. And sometimes you see it, and we practice.
Yeah,
but I think if we're pointing in the direction, like I think you've been and I've been, it's never, ever, ever warmed my heart to criticise my children. I've never had a nice glow about it. It's always been like,
no,
I'm right.
Mm. No, it's horrible, isn't it? Mm.
Or anybody, like workmates or partners, friends. I was quite upset when I discovered, when I could see really that the amount of critical thoughts that were just flowing through me. I was really surprised. It was so normal.
And I still do. I look at people strangers, and I criticise their appearance. But now I catch myself doing it, but it's ghastly, isn't it?
Well,
it's quite fun sometimes, though.
It depends, isn't it? Because
I don't want to be doing it as much like I do, Jill.
For a long time, I thought if I didn't want to do it and I saw it deeply enough, I'd stop doing it. Now my understanding is I'll probably always do it. The first thought that might come to me was I wouldn't have worn that jacket with those trousers, right? Now it's like a movie starts that I'm just not interested in.
No, who cares?
And I can sort of observe, oh, that's going on, but there has literally got no meaning. So it doesn't, whereas in the past I'd think, right, I want to dismiss that, or I don't want to have that feeling and thought in the first time. Now I just think, oh, they're going to come. They're going to come, but they're not me. They're not about me. They don't.
Like the volume's not on.
Exactly. Yes.
Telly in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, that feels a bit like a result, because I thought I was aiming to stop the thoughts in the first place. But one day they'd peter out. But whether they do or they don't isn't the issue anymore. It's like, well, you just lose interest, don't you?
They lose their impact, don't they? Yeah.
And then I can sometimes smile and think, wow, that's been a persistent belief. And it sometimes helps me to think, well, kids, when kids say, can I dress myself? Can I choose my clothes? Well, you would never put your children in the clothes they choose to wear in combination if you give them free will. Like when my children were little, they'll put the weirdest combinations. But the truth of that is there are no weird combinations beyond stories of proper
conventions.
So that's funny anyway, isn't it? And so
yeah, that's all a game, isn't it? It's,
I've had lots of conversations with my sister, because anyone that knows that she's very good at it. She puts together outfits, and she's, she does turn out extremely well in her style. But she I don't know if she still does, but we'd have conversations, and but honestly, Sue, she'd say, can you honestly say that looks nice together? And so then I'd play devil's advocate, because a bit of me thought, well, I know what you mean, but the other bit of me knew, no, that's just because we're hooked on a.
When did it start, do you suppose?
Who made it up? Who made up the rules about you don't wear? Oh, it used to be red and green and never seen, or something. Blue and green
that's right.
Never be seen. Well, actually.
Well, what would Christmas be without red?
Well, quite. Yeah.
Blue and green, isn't it?
Blue and green. Yeah.
And pink and orange mustn't go together, and people are beginning to do it. Who started all this? Yesterday my friend was wearing a top, black and white top with sort of diamonds and black and white striped trousers, and I thought, ooh. But actually she looked super. Looked at from a distance. Because my first thought was she looks super. And my second thought was those two patterns shouldn't go together. Who says? And yet, if you make a collage, let's say you cut out some pieces of paper or patchwork, and you put all these different things together, they're lovely. Yeah, bonkers. The whole thing is. Have you all read the Four Agreements? I guess you have. Miguel Don. I'll email it to you. It's a lovely book, and it's a lovely little book, and that's about how this all starts, really.
I've heard of it, and I might have
heard of it.
I
don't think I've read it.
I haven't read it.
It really kicked me off, actually. It was 2005, before any 3Ps happened, and that already had me looking vaguely in the direction. Very, very nice. It sort of lingers in your mind, memory. Yeah.
I read a book once that somebody lent me called A Princess in My Shoes. I think that was the title. I mean, this was this is 30 years ago. And I think the gist of it was it was like an experiment with this person who was writing the book, that they were going to let go of every belief. So they started off looking at their life, and all they had in the end was just belief after belief. So, I mean, from trivial things like you shouldn't wear stripes with diamonds to I must never put a milk bottle on the table. You shouldn't put a saucepan on the table. All the things that become the fabric of our conventions and habits.
Yeah.
I remember thinking then, well, that's really interesting, because obviously it was a book, there was a lot more to it, because it sort of exposed, I think it exposed belief. That's all they are. And somehow it was pointing to, I think I grew up, not that we examined it much, but yes, you can have thoughts and you can change your mind. But if it's a belief, it's true. So you could never change that. Because
no, I mean, the world is stuffed with good examples, none of which I can think of. But you know, there are millions of them. They're complete and utter nonsense.
Well, there must all be.
And it's, you know, it's like it's unlucky to walk under a stepladder.
Well, some of them have
there's a practical
common sense
thing, but it's not always unlucky, is it?
Mostly it's superstition. Isn't it?
Yeah, superstition.
No. Like, where I stayed with my auntie recently, and I didn't put the milk in first in her tea. She was upset. You know, she really wanted milk in first. Like, what difference does it make? But she's done that all her life, and she believed it. And there are worse ones than that, really stupid ones. But it would be nice to collect them.
It would be funny, wouldn't it?
It would be quite fun. How could we get people to send them in?
Facebook.
Like a million. You know, get a list of 1 million stupid beliefs.
Well, there's your group, 1 million stupid beliefs, and people would just send them in all the time. I remember Claire Frodsham, she either contributed to a stream or she started in. It was all the things your mother used to say.
Yeah.
That you were then, and then you find yourself saying. And people were saying, or expressions that were regional. So one of the things, what my mother used to say, you know what thought did? Because if you said to her, oh, well, I thought it was 8 o'clock, or, oh, I thought I could do that, that was my excuse. You say, well, you know what thought did. Now, the story behind that is absolutely a gem of wisdom. So what thought did, he thought he was following a wedding. No, hang on. What did thought do? He followed a corporation dust cart and thought it was a wedding. So it's a crazy example, but the thing about the thought, so I'd see it so differently now, and I never picked it. I just thought it was a silly old thing that parents did because your excuse wasn't very good. But now, I mean, that's profound, isn't it? He thought it was a wedding.
So that was true for him in the moment.
Yeah. Or even just as if it's an example, the power, pointing to the power of thought. And I never struck me ever, but when people were sort of thinking, what did your mum say? And then I said, well, she used to say that a lot. I'm sure she didn't even see the truth.
Oh, well, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's also thoughtless.
Mm.
That's what's so interesting about it.
Mm.
You know, it's just stuck there, and you just repeat it. And that is the trouble. That's the trouble. That's what is the trouble. That's lack of awareness. It's thoughtlessness. And fixed beliefs and just keep on spouting the same old thing. Whereas if you looked at it, you'd see it's just daft. Yeah.
What's lovely is also then the reflection that comes up and of course all of it's done absolutely 100% innocently. Of course we couldn't. You, in a way we say it's daft, but is it daft? I think I think we can say it's daft from a higher perspective, but it's an innocent kind of daft, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Chasing his tail is daft, but if you don't know it's your own tail,
yes,
daft about it, well, you just got to catch it, haven't you?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and until you see that it is only your tail and not something that you have to chase, you're going to keep going round and round and round and round and round. You know, you can sit down and go, it's the example, isn't it? It's one of the examples, classic ones. Oh, it's my tail, right, so I don't have to chase it. Oh, there it goes again.
It's funny
until you get it.
Somebody quoted Bill again, and I remembered him saying this about fear. They were talking about fear, and so the human seems to be the only species that when it's frightened, it speeds up. Nearly all other species, if they're alerted to danger, they stand, and then they choose to act, but they have this second, or I don't know how long it would be, but
assessment.
Yeah, we start running around thinking, no, like this. Not everybody, and it's too general, but very often people speed up in their heads because they've got something they can't explain going on and they're fearful, rather than like take a moment. You can't tell people to take a moment, but you know the difference yourself, don't you? When you kind of know that it's not helpful. It's never helpful. Never helpful to fly off the handle. Just, you get a momentary. Well, I used to. I've not done it for years. I don't even sure I've got the ability to fly off the handle. It always seems rather pointless. But there's that momentary relief because you found something to vent your feelings on without realising that's not where they're coming from.
Rabbit hole.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, indeed. I just noticed that you've got a meeting in August on
the meetup
Wednesday the 9th, and so I'm here then. It is my granddaughter's birthday, but I don't think they'll be doing the party on the Wednesday. I think they'll be doing it at the weekend. So
right, that's 7:00. Sudbury.
Might be able to come to that.
7:15.
7:15. Sudbury.
Till 9:15.
I've got it written down at 7:15.
Lovely.
Yep, in the Jeff Kisby room up on the.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Good.
Actually being able to come.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not just me.
Well, we'll have a lovely chat if it is.
Absolutely.
Yes, we will, won't we? We won't have seen each other.
We tried it in Colchester. We thought we'd start 2 groups, one in Colchester and one in Sudbury. And we fixed up the first Colchester one, and the only person that came was my sister-in-law. It was a nice little chat.
Exactly.
But there was something for both of us, I think. We mentioned it today, didn't we? We just thought, not just because of that, but just I didn't feel inspired by being there or being in Colchester. And then we did the one in Sudbury, and we had regular numbers of people coming. And then Anne said, I can come to your meetup. This is the same sister-in-law. I can come to your meetup. So she came, but nobody else did. So the only 2 meetups she's been to, she might think we're pretending we get to, 6.
Yeah.
Apologise. She said, well, perhaps it's me. Perhaps it's my fault. That's quite funny.
Do you still have your young people's meetup?
No. I mean, I'm still in contact with the two girls, but I don't.
And the woman you went to see this morning.
Yes.
The St. Christopher Centre. She holds a meetup of some sort for people with mental health problems.
They do an enormous amount in that centre. There's a group called Chit Chat, and they're aimed at. There were 2 mental health groups there, I think, this morning. But Chit Chat was a woman that I met in the gym last year. I mean, she's lost, Jill. She must have lost 4 or 5 stone, that woman.
Wow.
I only met her. I mean, she wasn't as slim as she is now, but I met her because she still looked like she needed to lose weight, if I'm honest, for health reasons. And she said, we were chatting, and she said, I've lost 3.5 stone or something. I was like, great. I couldn't imagine it being that much heavier. And she's gone on consistently to do that. And, so she was there this morning. So it's funny seeing her out in a totally different context. And I really liked her when I met her at the gym. I thought, what a lovely lady. Well, she runs, as I say, a group called Chit Chat, and it's a drop-in. So people can just pop, because she's been a service user. She may still, as they call them, she may still, no, that would never have crossed my mind.
Because really, I'm haunted by this. Am I really, really not going to do anything about it? Am I really just going to not do anything about it?
You mean starting something up?
Because all my life I've been somebody with passionate principles and beliefs and done absolutely nothing. Yeah, nothing. I think we touched on that last night, somewhere along the line.
Well, yes, about the idea of having a centre. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah.
But I think I was musing with that today. I was thinking, well, what, you know, that Christopher Centre, it's manned by volunteers. They are extraordinary people, I think. They have a dinner. They lay on dinners once a week, in nicely done it's a hall attached to a church. I don't know what it is. But she showed us a photo, lovely kind of ginghamy or spotty tablecloths, laid out nicely, really good, totally home-cooked, fresh food. Maybe a choice of 3 dinners, was it?
It's lovely menu, and definitely certainly 3 at least.
And a pudding, and it's free. Anyone can turn up.
Who's it for?
It's for people who are vulnerable, people who can't cope, people who can't cook, people who are homeless, people who just need the company.
It's community kitchen, isn't it?
Community kitchen, and they get food from supermarkets. Get donated for people. I should imagine from allotments and things, so people have got too much. So they've been going for ages, and I always used to see her posters and think, oh, that's a really kind thing to do. But imagining it to be, I don't know, a bit like a soup kitchen, whatever that means.
Yeah, a lower standard than that.
This is just like somebody's big home, isn't it? Laid the table. What would you like? Lentil shepherd's pie or something ragu? All vegetarian. Did you say all vegetarian? She did.
I think. If you start handling meat, then you hit a load more regulations than you do if you're handling
I think it all being vegetarian is quite an eye opener for the people who receive it anyway. Will create some sort of change in them, because something they're not used to, and then they discover it's delicious. You know, that's really just that is a good thing to do.
Well, hats off to her really, and they have rooms that they let out long term, leased to business. So small businesses there were people in one of the offices, weren't there today? Just set up as a regular office. They get all the services, so they get income from that. Although 2 or 3 are pulling out at the moment, or one is pulling out. It had a couple of offices. They do a Monday drop in, which all day, isn't it? They just open the centre and anyone can pop in, have tea, a chat.
This is really what I had in mind, not the food, but everything else. I really should. I will look it up on the internet.
There's a visually impaired group that meet there. There's another befriending service that I believe.
It's because it's for people that feel isolated as well, or people that find themselves on their own and they're lonely, and there's nobody to talk to, and they can just go around and connect with other people. So important.
It's exactly what we need.
Because you're accepted. That young man we were talking to, one of the things he said was, well, I've never really felt that I fitted in. And I mean, I could see, if I took years off him, I could see him in school and he wouldn't have fitted in. We'd have had one or two buddies, but they'd have been slightly off model or whatever you call it.
Yes.
There's always kids like that in school, and they become great if they survive. Well, most of them do, but I can think of 3 little boys that come to mind from when I worked at Clacton, and there was the one with the spectacles, overweight. There was a little skinny chap. And then, it was a bit, you'd say, learning challenged or whatever the expression is. But the 3 of them stuck together. So they were each other's friends. But in terms of the cool kids, who were the most of the others, they weren't wanted, and they weren't wanted as friends or sought after.
No, it's lucky there were 3 of them.
And what was lovely is because that's when I used to do weekly courses that they could volunteer to come to, and all about principles, and I made up some resources. I mean, I think for years things that I've done, I'd forgotten all about this. And when I listened to one of them, he's really into fishing. He could tell me everything about fishing. And I thought, some of the lads, they've got all the hairs perfect, and they probably can't tell me about much at all. And there's this little boy with a wealth of experience as well, and knowledge about different sorts of fish and the tackle.
About something practical, yeah.
And the other one was into bicycles, that was right. I might be mixing up another boy, perhaps they weren't both in the 3, and then you hear, then they start to tell you about their lives, and they're onto the umpteenth stepdad, or actually living with a stepdad because their actual mother's gone, and and then they've got grandma who's really ill, and all sorts of things going on for these little souls, and you just want to scoop them up, really. But
it's lovely to get into a position where they are talking to you.
Well, I mean, it was for me.
Mm.
But sometimes your heart kind of expands, but then there's that moment where you have to realise actually they are very resilient. There's a bit then I'm thinking back now, thinking, but they could have done with a little bit of protection, and they could. It's not that they weren't resilient, but that system was putting pressure on them.
Mm. Yeah.
And they wouldn't have had any understanding of, they could have built armour and stuck together and done all that, but that's exhausting, isn't it? That's not free childhood when you're trying to cope all the time.
No, but what a huge percentage of kids do have to do that. You know, coping is such a thing in our society, isn't it? Yes. Are you coping? Yes, I'm coping. It's a horrible word, and it's a horrible situation, and it's actually empty. It's a cover-up for things not being all right.
I guess it might, across the board, it might have different flavours, mightn't it? So, you know, I think there are occasions probably where it's appropriate to use that word, but it's a bit like fear, isn't it? It's great, thank God we've got the fear response, but not every day and not all the time. Well, it's like coping. Sometimes it's sort of appropriate.
Yes, it should be short term.
Things have really happened and you say, well, okay, I'm coping because I've managed to organise this. But if you're saying I'm coping with every day, I'm coping
all
with
the time, yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
That you will only cope until you actually crack. Yeah.
Yes, it's that's all tools and technique things. It's the same outside in.
Yeah.
Plate spinning till all the plates come crashing down.
Yeah. And how many people are doing that? You know, you can see it in city life, and you can see it in people that live in rural locations that don't have a job. Still feel like they're spinning the plates of survival. So that's not very cheerful, is it?
But, you know, again, we're making that up, aren't we?
Yes, of course we are. It's a story.
We're creating this story.
Yeah, we've gone off on some sort of tangent, haven't we? Story tangent.
Isn't that a great example? Go on, Jill.
No, I was just going to say it's a good example of how we do that to ourselves and get ourselves into that state, because we have a story about I'm coping, and what does that mean to us? And we're buying into the illusion again that there's something we need to cope with. And yes, there could be a practical or a physical something that needs attention, but it's that whole big story that we make round it that adds to, you know, something that, just started as a little tiny fire has gotten to a big.
Also, it's a virtue. It's one of the virtues in our society. Oh, he's a real coper. You know, it's actually even worrier. She's a real worrier. My mum's a real worrier. That's a virtue too.
Like, because at least you're on it.
Sorry?
At least you're on it. You're not sort of sitting back saying things don't matter, worrying. Yes, good for you.
Yeah, and it shows you care. You know, yes, coping and worrying. What a good person you must be.
And actually, there's a good intention.
Innocent.
Recognising it. It's just that if you're recognising it from the outside in understanding of life, that it's pretty much everything you say. If you're looking at it, we'd be really talking about resilience, wouldn't we? I think that has a very different flavour to say, isn't it extraordinary how resilient we are in the face of, you know, quite a few things happening, and I think that's very positive to point out the resilience within people. Coping, like, I'm hanging on by my fingernails, which is a different feeling. So it's odd, isn't it? I mean, that's really about language, but I think the main thing it's about is recognition of what's going well, rather than what you're just hanging on to by the skin of your teeth. And one is, I think resilience is that natural flow, and coping is the willpower, the the forcing, almost like a forced state of affairs. And the two are very different, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because resilience is never ending.
Coping is usually not wise, I think. I'm not sure. I'm saying this by the skin of my teeth now, but there's something I don't like about coping. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Almost like it's a final or the bottom denominator, isn't it, or something? Well, they see the flip side of that is, she's not coping. No one wants to have that said about them. Well, she's just not coping. Because that's the sort of thing that, in the old days, I think it's like, well, she's not coping.
But once you get
services in.
But when you get to having to say that, then it's time for some compassion and help and understanding and changing direction. Anyway.
Well, that's what we can see, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we just made up a whole story around all of that, haven't we?
Just like Jill said. She pointed it out and we did it again.
Yeah. I think
aren't we funny? And look what we have the capacity to do to ourselves and others.
Reflect on what we're doing in the moment. I mean, I think that's invaluable.
And then we can laugh at ourselves. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Oh.
So when you said in your email, Jill, you put in about what are we not seeing about illusion?
I think we've just been talking about that.
Yeah, I think that's sort of hit that mark, really, hasn't it?
Mm. Yeah, and it's a now you see it, now you don't.
One of the things I think that I've thought, when they used the word illusion in the past, I thought, hang on a minute. What we're saying is reality. What we call reality is an illusion, but it is what we can ever experience as reality. So unless we do away with the word reality, it still has meaning for me. But what I'm helped by is to see or to know and to understand as much as I can. What I call reality is illusory, but it doesn't mean it isn't my reality. It doesn't mean that's what I'm experiencing in the moment, because I am. So sometimes in the past, I've just thought, hang on a minute, it makes it feel like, it makes it sound like, or it might make it sound like, there's nothing really there. Now, we could argue that that's the truth. There isn't anything there. We're bringing into creation, our thought, and the principles, everything. And without us doing that, then it doesn't exist. But I still quite like the word reality, but to know what reality is. It's a bit like the word thought, and to know if the relation of feelings.
It's just too hard otherwise, isn't it? I go spinning off into some sort of out into outer space and think, and I end up, I can't think about this, and I go on and do something else, and it makes people cross as well. If you say anything about there is no reality and everything's illusion, then it makes them thump the table and say, are you saying this doesn't exist? And it's just
it's a bit like saying to someone, it's just your thinking. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There is nothing else. Why would you be stating the obvious, and why would you be stating it in a most insensitive and unkind way? I'm hoping, if I look back, that I've never said that apart from as a joke, but I might have done.
I'm quite sure I will have said it at some stage at the beginning. I'm afraid so, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Still do sometimes.
Yes, quite.
But we are constantly creating the illusion.
Yeah. I spent a whole day with a friend. I don't see her very often. We had a whole Saturday, and she's got a thing going on with her ancient mother and her sister and herself, and they're competing over the mother, and the mother's turning, the mother's doing pathetic, and the three of them are playing this amazing game between them, and she spent the whole day reliving and projecting reliving and projecting about this game that they were playing, and what would her sister say, and what would she think if she said this, and it went on the whole day, and I don't know how many times I know I said sometimes, that this is you're just thinking about it. It's not happening. It hasn't come yet. It's gone. And it was a fantastic example. She just made it up all day long while we were doing nice things, real things, to use that word. She just kept going back and kept going back and kept going back into this, what I call unreal things that hadn't happened yet or were over. And with many, many layers of game as well as illusion. And it was distressful for her, boring for me, and really clear.
Yeah.
Really clear. And I've done that. I spent so many days of my life doing that in the past.
Yeah, of course.
And there she was.
Almost no alternative if you don't know where your feelings are coming from. It is given. If you don't know where your feelings are coming from, and it looks like they're coming from outside, and there's a correlation time-wise between he's just said that and now I've got this feeling, it's always going to look like that. And if you don't know, you are, well, we have all been, if you like, condemned to a life of potential victimhood.
Yes, we have.
Some people don't, sail through. They never know anything, but their life is very pleasant, as it were.
Yeah.
But life isn't the same.
We have no control because it's coming at us and hitting us from outside. Apparently,
yes, exactly. And it's funny because you gave that example of being with your friend, and it reminded me of that joke about the man on the roof. The big flood comes and there's a man on the roof. And I think it's the Boy Scouts that go by and they go, "Oh, we've come to rescue you." And he says, "No, God's looking after me." And he's praying to God, "God, come on." And then, I don't know, something else comes by and they say, "Come on, come on." And he says, No, God's rescue me." And he drowns. And he gets to meet God and he says, "Why didn't you help me?" And he said, "I sent the Boy Scouts. I sent the rowing boat. What did you want?" And it's almost like these people,
yes,
of us for somebody, and everybody, some people for us, they're our walking teachers. They're our walking examples. And so often,
that's a very lovely story, actually. Yes,
it's hilarious, isn't it? I mean, I don't remember the details so well.
It's spot on. Yeah,
the proper version. It's hilarious. It's very funny. But it's like, well, I can hear that joke and laugh at it, and the next minute I'll be doing the man on the roof bit.
Yes, yourself.
And there we are with the friend who is modelling. It's modelling outside in difficulty, struggle, getting in the way of this potentially dreamlike day. And then the next day we're doing it. But we're doing it with things that are just exceptional.
You're right. It's 7:00, ladies. So I know you're on a bit of a time.
You're supposed to be out of the door.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've got my bags packed. It's all ready.
Just to hold you up, if I could persuade this friend to come with me to Viva, and she's a complete beginner, would that work?
We're going to have not a beginner's track, as they call it at Tickham, but we're going to have the first breakouts. There'll be an introduction. We're probably going to invite Elsie to do that. And then we're going to have, in the first breakouts, we'll have one for complete beginners. We know amongst us, there are people who who are drawn to doing that sort of introductory bit, whereas others quite like to.
Yeah. So, I don't think she'll come, but, I just wanted to ask you that. Okay. Well, that was...
The other thing to do is to give you these dates that we were going to do. So we've got 2 dates. We've got Ian Watson.
4th of August.
What does that mean?
He's going to do a 1-day workshop in Sudbury.
Ah.
And then on the weekend of the 26th and 27th, we're going to host Jen and Dave doing
26th, 27th, I'm gone by then.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, other dates we've got in mind are for September. So the third week in September, 23rd and 24th. That's unspecified as to what that will be. And then we're into November. So post-Viva.
No, I'm not there for any of them.
No. Oh, you're not?
No.
Not the 4th?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ben, just have that in your diary and pencil, and then we're going to get you're going to get literature out, not literature, notices out about
information, yes.
Yes, it'll be, well, probably next week, actually, time we've all done the writing bit and put it on the website, so yeah. But,
good, so I've got 2. I've got your meetup and Ian Watson.
Yeah.
How nice for me.
And then who knows, we might, in the time that you're back those weeks, we might just have a nice social time with, we'll have an afternoon somewhere. If it's nice, we go to somewhere where there's a nice garden.
I was doing some thinking about that party that I said about last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could do
that's the sort of thing. I mean, I wouldn't want to be responsible for doing that every month, but I mean, I think that there might well be people who, if you said, you spoke to them individually and said, look, we're going to we're going to meet up with X, Y, Z. Come along. It's just, we're just going to lie in the grass and talk. Or
yes, absolutely. Or go for a walk or whatever. Depends on the time of year. Yeah. Yes, it's well worth thinking about.
Yeah.
I will when I get home. I will think about it. Not today, though. No.
Enjoy your last chilly evening.
Yes, it's horrible, isn't it? I've got loads of clothes on.
I took my jumper off, but I'm just about to put the second layer on.
Yeah.
Well, that was a really, really lovely surprise. Thank you, you two, for your time.
Lovely to get together.
Yeah, very nice.
Good to see you. Have a good trip back, Jan.
Yes.
Thank you, Jill. Yeah.
And be in touch with us. We've got a Facebook page, so when you get onto Facebook a little more regularly, leave some comments for us. And we'll talk, then other people will join in and that'll be fun.
I've lost you. I've lost your faces.
Oh,
but anyway, yes, I will.
Okay.
I will.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, got your face back. Bye.
You should be able to click leave meeting.
Oh, well, that's gone. You'll have to get rid of me.
You do that then?
Well,
I'm just going to, if I click off, then
stuck with me forever. No, I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.